Hey, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, everyone. How is everyone doing today? How is everyone doing today? This is Gregory Wiles coming live to you from Houston, Texas, with his inspirational morning walk. Live from Houston, Texas, with this inspirational morning walk. First time listeners, I just get some exercise in the mornings, and I share my thoughts with you guys of what I'm inspired to talk about that day. So I just want to drop a little bit of knowledge, share my little thoughts with you guys, get your day started off positive, give a different perspective to things that you might never consider before. Right, guys? You see it's a little cold here. We're down in the late 30s today. We're in the late 30s, so I can bundle up, but I can still get some walking in. Yes, Jillian, it's cold. We're down to late 30s here right now, somewhere around 38, 39, something around that. But you know what? I'm not going to let that stop me, man. I got to keep moving. I just bundle up a little bit, put on some warm clothes, and I gonna get my walking in, man. So when you make an excuse and telling me you're down in the 30s and you can't go out and walk, I can tell you, okay, I ain't taking that. I ain't buying that. All right? But anyhow, Renita, good morning. How are you doing today? How are you guys doing today? Hey, I can jump right into it. I got a topic I really want to touch on and shed some light on some things, because I know we call coming into the new year, right? We're coming into the new year here, and we're making a lot of New Year's resolution. It's normal, right? Everybody got something they want to work on, they want to improve their life on some area, whether it's a personal or it's professional or lose some weight or whatever the case may be. We got all of these resolutions, and I want to ask a lot of you guys, how much years now you're making the same resolution and you're not achieving those results? After the first 3 weeks, some people a month, some people 2 months, they lose the interest and they go right back to the old habits that they had, right? The old habits that they had, they go right back there, they lose the interest, all the little excitement and energy gone from going into the new year. And the end of the year, you're right back where you started, and then you're saying, next year I'm going to do this again, or you every time at a particular time of the year, Christmas come, you don't have a lot of funds, or you didn't get to do something you want to do. You're saying, next year I can make sure I get to do this. You find yourself in these cycles, and it just keep going on, and every year is the same thing, right? So I want to shed a light on something that could possibly be causing that, guys. Something, and if you don't fix this, you're going to be in this cycle until you leave this earth. And it's called generational curses, right? Generational curses. And there's some things you probably don't even have no knowledge about. You don't even know nothing about it, but it's affecting you. And this is why a lot of people get confused, right? A lot of people get confused and say, man, I'm doing everything right. I was brought up in a Christian home, and I'm doing everything right. And still, I'm watching this man, this sinner man, doing all this stuff, and look like he progressing more than I am. What's going on? And then people get frustrated with God and the curse God, and this is how a lot of people go and turn to atheists, because they don't understand why they hanging on to God all the time, come up in a Christian home, see the mommy, the daddy is pastors and preachers, but yet still their life ain't moving nowhere, and stuff happening, and they have no control, and they don't understand why. And then they turn atheists and they hate God. A lot of people who's atheists, if some of them, a big chunk of them, is because they lose faith in God. They worship Him, and then, as far as they turn out not to be on their side and doing stuff that you don't understand. So let me shed some light on that, because again, what the scripture said, my people perish for the lack of knowledge. And it's true knowledge, the just shall be delivered, right? So without this knowledge, you might be making the same mistake. So let's jump right into it first. Let's go into what we call the law of foundation. Let me give you the scriptures, the law of foundation. It's Proverbs 22:6. Mr. Stephen Adams. Thank you, sir. Thank you. I appreciate you for watching too. All right. So the law of foundation is Proverbs 22:6. It said, start children off on the way they should go, and even when they are old, they will not turn from it, right? It says, start children off on the way they should go, even when they get old, they should not turn from it, right? That's the law of foundation. That's the foundational law, right? Whatever you teach your kids, That's the values, that's what they're going to come up with. They might drift off the path somewhere along in the middle part of the life, but what the scripture said, when they get old or a little up in age, they can come right back to that foundation that you put in them, right? How much time is it looking? So I'm getting just like my mother, I'm getting just like my father. As you get older in life and you get your kids, you see you're repeating some of the same things that they're doing. You said, right? So, okay, yes, Jillian, anything below 50 is freezing in Texas. That's true, right? So, yes, so the foundation, that's a foundation. I want to start off with that because I want to build this stuff up quickly for you. So that's why if you poison a tree, right, where I'm going with this, if you poison a tree, right, let's say you got your nice fruit tree, let's say a nice apple tree, you poison it from the root, give it a good dose of poison from the root, and it's sucking all the nutrients it's getting is poisonous. Every fruit that comes from that tree will be poisonous, right? If you agree with me, give me a thumbs up. Every tree, because all the nutrients that tree is feeding on is poisonous. So the trees that come from that, the fruit that comes from that tree will be poisonous, right? I think we should all agree on that, right? So even though this year is the apple season and you get a whole batch of apples, right? This season come and done. Next season what's going to happen, it's still feeding on that poisonous nutrients. Next season what happen is the next batch of poisonous apples, right? So my point is 5 years from now, 10 years from now, the tree still feeding on the poisonous nutrients. Every batch will be poisonous, right? Every batch will be poisonous. Even the ones that ain't even come yet, even the ones 10 years down the line, 20 years down the line, it's still going to be poisonous, right? So that's what this last thing, I'm going somewhere with this, stay with me. So that's how generational curses come along, right? So let me give you a foundation to how God made us, right? First, a curse is something to set you back. It's something to delay you, something to set you back, something, it's like a punishment, right? And the blessings is the opposite, right? The blessings is to advance you, to move you forward, and all that good stuff. So let's see in Genesis 1:28 what God said is. So God blessed them and said to them is who? Them is man, Adam and Eve, right? He said, be fruitful and increase in number. So he said, be fruitful and increase in number. And who he blessed? Them. Adam and Eve. Adam is the first man. That's the root of man, right? So he didn't have to come down and say, oh, Gregory, I'm going to bless you. Steve, I'm going to bless you. Jillian, I'm going to bless you. Renita, I'm going to bless you. No, he blessed the root, just like what we're talking about the tree and the poison, right? He blessed the root. So when he blessed Adam and Eve and he said, be fruitful and multiply, increase the number, fill the earth, right? So if you're fruitful and you're multiplying, for some reason you cannot multiply, you cannot get these kids that he blessed the foundation with. Listen up carefully. You might learn something today. He's blessed the root. He blessed man from the root and he said, be fruitful and multiply. Go out there. So all of us should have the ability to multiply and have kids and fill this earth. All of us, because we come from that root, just like the tree and the apple with the poison. So if you're not, it's a problem, and I might explain and shed some light on that problem, right? And he tell us to subdue, rule over the fish, rule over the earth. That's when he gave us dominion over the earth, right? So bear that in mind. Let's go one more thing and see some blessings what he tell us here. Ephesians 1:3-4. He said, all praises to the Father of our Lord Jesus Christ, who has blessed us. He done do this. When? With all spiritual blessings in heavenly realms. So he got all these spiritual blessings for us in the heavenly realm, and he make us, right? And because we're united with Christ. Even before he made the world, God loved us and chose us in Christ. So he's saying, before he make this world, before you even come here, he done got blessings in store for you, right? He done got blessings in store for you. Before you even come here, he had all these blessings. So I just want to show you, he made us to advance. He made us to move forward. He made us to multiply. He made us, everything he talk about when he make man is to advance. Look quickly, let me give you this next one. And I'm getting to some real tough stuff. So Jeremiah 29:11, he said, for I know the plans I have for you, said the Lord, the plans for good and not for disaster. The plans for good. Some translations say good and not evil. He said to give you a hope and a future. So he telling us, this is why I make man for. Everything I make man, but it's to advance, it's to go forward, to multiply, to It's the good. He said he plans toward you is good and not for disaster, right? So why then certain things happening to us? So I want to look and tell people, look at your families and see some negative patterns, not your immediate, but your general family. And before I had this knowledge, I see some people would sit back just trying to accept their fate. I probably was guilty of the same thing too. Oh, my daddy had diabetes, his father had diabetes, his grandfather, uncle this died from diabetes. You know what? Diabetes is my portion. Why do you think the insurance companies ask to see your family history? Right? But they know it from a physical level. But I'm giving you what Paul's saying here. Remember Paul in 2 Corinthians 4:18 telling us, set our eyes on the things that are not seen. He said the things that you see in the physical illness is not your problem. It got a spiritual root. That's what Paul's trying to drum home to us all the time. But we don't understand what Paul's saying. So I want to shine some light on what he's trying to say. So you sitting back and you watching. Is it normal? I see some families, some people getting scared, making preparation for their own demise because the mother got some sickness, taken and died at 50. The grandmother, but 4 generations this didn't come down. A big sister before them it happened to, the 50 years old or whatever year old, 45, 60, 30 something, they're taking with this sickness and they die, and they coming up to this age and they making our final preparation. Okay, because mommy had it, granny, sister this, and I just preparing at 50. I know they're going to take with this sickness, they're going to die, and they accept that fate. I'm telling you, no, you don't accept it. It can be changed. It's a generational curse that you can fix. You don't have to sit back and accept it. Right? You don't have to sit back and accept it. So look at it. Look at it in your family and see divorces. Some people I know, you can't get married. Beautiful women, and they can't get married. They might be with a man for a long time. He don't want to marry them. Then to push marriage. Then he run away, and 3-4 months after he go marry somebody else, and they marry you. And you, beautiful, you come up in a good home. Any man would want you, or any woman would want a man in this situation, but still happening, right? You know, some obesity. You see some families, everybody's obese. Everybody's obese. They just get a young kid, the kid coming up obese. Because what this stuff do, guys, and here why this can happen. And I need to go and explain covenants, because all this happened through covenants. So I got to go and explain some more stuff in next week, right? But here in Deuteronomy 5:9, why this stuff can have, why this can happen, right? Deuteronomy 5:9, this God was warning the Israelites when they go into the promised land, some stuff not to do, right? So he said, you must not bow down to them or worship them. He's talking about these other gods, with these people already in the Canaanites and all them was worshiping, because they were full into iniquity, right? They had all these other gods and idols to worshiping, right? So he warning the Israelites. He said, you must not bow down to them or worship them. For I, the Lord your God, am a jealous God who will not tolerate your afflictions of any other gods. He said, you worship any other gods, it can be a big problem for me, because I'm a very jealous God, right? I lay the sin of the parents upon the children. The entire family is affected, even children in the 3rd and the 4th generation of those who reject me. So that's what God's saying. There's going to be a punishment. I'm going to put the sins on your children down to your 3rd and 4th generation, guys. And the enemy knows this. He is a lawyer. He is a spiritual lawyer. And I'm telling you guys, this universe operates on laws. So the enemy knows this. So if he can get you to sin and mess up and go and do these things, that's why people get frustrated and they turn to other stuff. And God's saying, you go and turn to that other foolishness you can go and turn to. And I can bring these sins down in your 3rd and your 4th generation. So your kids who ain't even born, your great-grandkids who you haven't seen yet, they're done. Remember we talk about a mark? Remember we talk about a spiritual mark? No, you got the mark. They're done mark for this disaster to come on them before they're even born. Because he's saying, if you go and put your hand to any foolishness or do certain things, those same sins I can put on your 3rd and 4th generation. That's what God's saying. That's what he's saying, right? And here in Lamentations 5:7, the Israelites know this law. And hear what they were saying, right? Lamentations 5:7, saying, our ancestors sinned, but they have died, and we are now suffering the punishment they deserve. Israel was going through a tough time, really tough time. Famine, no food. The enemies just whooping them left, right, and center. They're getting drive off of the land. But they know the spiritual law. They know the spiritual law. So they say, you know what? It's stuff our ancestors do way back that affecting us now, because that particular generation was doing great. They was doing what they're supposed to do, just like a lot of us come up in the Christian homes. We're doing all we're supposed to do, but yet still certain things happening to us and we can't understand it. But see, they had to understand it. Says some of the stuff that our ancestors did hundreds of years ago, and they're dead and gone. They're dead and gone, but we still paying the price for it. So I'm telling you, some of the things that we're struggling with, it come in and somebody introduce it into the bloodline, because you see this foundation here, God didn't make us to struggle and struggle. All the thoughts he have towards us is good and not evil, not disaster. Somebody introduced the stuff into the bloodline way back when, and it's affecting generations, keep coming down, just like the example I used with the poisonous apple. Even people who ain't even born yet, they have these stuff on them. You see some families of poverty, right? Abject poverty. They can't come out of poverty. And not they're not being blessed. That same person might go and win the lotto for $1 million. But look, a year or two after that, what happened? They're going right back into poverty. Because once the spirit of poverty is attached to that family, there's no escaping it for you. There's no escaping it. You can be blessed. The blessings are going to come. But you can just spend it, waste it, and you're going right back to poverty. Because that spirit is there in the family. And it's set time and things where they do. And when the time come, you got to succumb to it, because they got that right on you. Remember, God said, and the enemy is the accuser of the brethren, as to call him. Okay, God, look at Gregory here. You got him. This is what your law states. You got to turn in 4 generations. So his kids, his grandkids, all of that, they got to be affected with the same thing. So you got to mark to be affected, the kids who ain't even born yet, right? You got all of these stuff. I know some people got big degrees. They're educated. Got all the necessary stuff to get a particular job, and they can't even get a basic job. They go to get a job, they're telling them you're overqualified for this job. Then they go to get the next one, you're overqualified, you tell me I'm overqualified. I can't even get, okay, I got a master's and I can't get a job who giving me a master's. I applying, I got all the experience, I don't get it. Now I said, you know what, I can take a little low-level positions because I just need a job, I need to work. And next thing I go to the next man and he telling me I overqualified. And you're stuck. And you got all your education, where you spend all this money to get. You know this job, you got experience, and you ain't getting a shot. Why? 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 Right? And these behaviors are so, look at some behaviors, like, let's take a drunk, a man who's hooked on alcohol. Whether he's in South Africa, whether he's in Asia, whether he's in the US, the behavior patterns is the same things they do when you're drunk, the same way they operate, right? Same way they would operate. Why the behaviors are so consistent? Why the man in Africa, when he drunk, he don't operate differently from them? Because set not your eyes on the things that are seen, the unseen things, right? That's what Paul was trying to say to us, guys. And now I just introduced this. I have to go down and tackle a lot of different angles and make you understand it more, show you some examples of some curses in the Bible and how it was handled. But remember, one of them are saying where your prayers may not be answered, and this kind might need prayer and fasting. This kind is one of them who need prayer and fasting. This kind into the generation, maybe hundreds of years ago, it's into your generation. It's not going to leave easy with your regular prayer. This is one of the kinds that you need prayer and fasting for. Guys, I got this guy Kevin Ewing, because what I do, I just kind of summing up a lot of stuff. This guy Kevin Ewing, he do a lot of stuff. Kevin Ewing, and he got a lot of stuff. Who need to more up on this right away could go on and log on to him. He got hours-long teaching on this stuff here, get you a better understanding. But I can try my best in the mornings to break stuff down into different areas to give you a better understanding on how you can handle this. So you take your time and over this weekend and look at the negative patterns in your general family, all those stuff where you're saying, oh, this body got this body got this, I got to protect myself from this, I got to protect. Because what it does, let's take obesity quickly, going on a little long. Let's take up something like obesity. What it does, it encourages you to have the taste to those foods that are going to cause you to be obese. Look at the type of foods your parents can cook in at home. They pass it on. And you have that taste. That's why you can go into the new year saying, I'm not going to do this. I'm going to cut back on this type of food, that type of food. After a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, you can't resist the urge to go and eat that same, or go into the behavior that caused you to do the same thing, because it encourages you. It gives you that taste to do that. It's like me. My father died with diabetes. And my struggle all the time is weakness for sweetness. Who know me going to tell you that my weakness is for sweetness? Why? My weakness is for sweetness, because they're trying to keep that same thing going. You got the taste for the sweetness. You got a taste for overindulging the sweetness that can put you in the same situation. That's what it does. And you don't understand why you can't break the habit you're trying to break. And when you make all these New Year's resolution, because it's just there to entice you, to give you that taste. Get the chocolate, get the candy, get the cake, get the ice cream, get it. You can't do without it. You can't do without it. You must have it. And you go and do the next thing, you know, you end up in the same situation, because that's what it does. It keeps you enticed. It keeps you with that taste to do what you're not supposed to do, or what's going to take you down the same path, guys. So I introduced this today. We can get into some more details on next week. I got to explain what covenants is and how this operates and why and all of that stuff. And we got to go into some different aspects of it. I just want to give a general introduction today, so this weekend you could start identifying some of those things in your family and knowing that you don't have to suffer the consequences of it. Your kids don't. You can break it. It can be broken. Right? And remember what Paul's saying. Set not your eyes on the things that are seen, right? You can't get kids right now. You say, no, but the doctor said this, da. And Paul saying, no. You don't set your eyes on those things that you can see. That's not your problem. Your problem is the things that are not seen. It's something pulling the strings behind the scene that you cannot see. That's your problem. That's what the real problem is. Guys, and until your believers get this understanding, we will be lost, and we can be frustrated, and we think God's not working for us. We got to get this understanding. We need to get this understanding. I'm going to leave it there, but Monday we can pick up. I'll get fired up when I talk about this. That's why I'm doing this, because when I realized how I was tricked and manipulated by the enemy, I said, I go in with a vengeance behind you. All right? So we'll leave this here, and we'll pick it up on Monday, guys. Talk to you later. Okay, bye.